Okay, so as we saw in the last lecture, you can very easily use CSS to apply style to all elements of a given type in your website, all paragraphs, for example. And using contextual selectors, you can get more specific, applying style to, say, all paragraphs that are inside a division tag or inside a body tag. Those selectors alone, creatively applied, can be very, very powerful. But CSS provides another way for you to target a specific subset of elements without having to rely on contextual selector wizardry. Let's say that I decided that I want to have the text color of my navigation links alternate between two colors. The first link will be one color, the next link another color, the third link back to the first color, and so forth. Now, doing this with contextual selectors isn't impossible, but it would be very cumbersome. There's a much easier way to do it in CSS through using what are called element classes. So first I'm going to get back into my CSS document and just do a little cleanup from some of our earlier experiments. I'm going to get rid of that wildcard selector. And I'm going to come back in and add this body directive that the color should be dark gray, with my semicolon. We'll save that, go back and reload. Okay, we're back to a fairly simple palette right there. Now, using class selectors is going to require us to first go back into our HTML and add something new there. So let's go back into our index.html document. And do you remember the discussion in the previous section on HTML about attributes? Well, that's where, within a certain start tag, we add a keyword, an equal sign, and then in quotes a value. And that tells browsers something about the element that the tag surrounds. We're going to add a class attribute to our navigation links. The attribution is not going to be a color, though. I'm simply going to tell the browser whether the link is an evenly or oddly numbered link in the list. Now, there are fancier ways we could do this, but for a simple list of 4 links, this will work out just fine. So here's my links block, which I can easily find because of my comments right there. And here are my 4 link tags, my 4 start tags. And each of them already has one attribute within it, the href value. And I'm going to come in now, and remember, we've seen in previous lectures, you can add additional attributes as well. So I'm going to come into this first one, and I'm going to type in the attribute class, set it equal to my quotation marks, and because this is the first one, that would be an odd numbered link, the number 1. And I'll put in my closing quotation marks. Great, so that one's ready. Come into my next one, class equals, this is the second one, so that's even. Come into my third one, this again is odd. And my last one, class equals even. So all 4 links now have 2 attributes, one of which is the link, what they're being linked to, and then one sets this class attribute to either odd or even. So I'll save that change. So now my HTML document has information about which class of links each of those elements belongs to. Is it oddly numbered link or an evenly numbered link? Now the browser knows. But the browser knows that, but it doesn't know anything special to do about that in terms of design. And you'll see here, if I reload, nothing changes. Still looks the same. Reload, 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 still the same. So next we have to tell the browser how to handle styling based on that information. And for that, we'll go back into our CSS document. And now we'll use the class selector. So we'll come in here, I'm going to put in a new selector, and it's going to be a period odd with no spaces. Then I can have my opening curly braces and my closing curly braces. And then I'm going to say here that I want the color, let's say we've got most of our text in dark gray, a little bit in red. Let's use blue and purple. So let's say that our odd links are going to be in blue. And we'll remember our semicolon right there. And then we'll come down and we'll say a dot even, again no spaces, opening curly braces, our closing curly braces, and we'll say the color for these will be purple. And we'll remember our semicolon there as well. And we'll save those changes. So these statements tell the browser, if you encounter a link, an A element, that has the class attribute of odd, make its color blue. And if you encounter an element tagged A that has a class attribute set to even, make its color purple. So we've saved that change. Let's go back and reload the page to see what we've got. And there we go. The first one and the third one, being classed odd, are in blue, and the second and the fourth, being classed even, are in purple. Now, a couple things. If we had other links in our document, links with no class set or with a different class set, neither of these CSS statements would apply to it. We've actually already set the default color for links to red. So we've said that links should be displayed in that red. Then we came along with more specific statements regarding links of two particular classes, those of class odd or class even. And because those statements were more specific, not just all links, but links of certain classes, they overrule the general styling for links. If we add in additional links that aren't of those classes, they'll default to the red that we've already set. Let's show that by adding a link. Let's say we're concerned that our poor readers won't know what vultures actually are. So we want to link the word vultures to a definition of vultures on Wikipedia, this instance of it right here. So we'll come in and we'll add an A tag there for a link, and we'll set the attribute equal, the href attribute equal to, and then in quotes, and I've already looked this up, https:// the English version of wikipedia.org/wiki, capital V, vulture, and then I'll close the quotation marks there. And I'll remember my end tag for the A right there as well. Do a little proofing, is that right? I think that was a semicolon, now it's a colon. So we have this A tag, href equals to https:// I've put in the web address, close my quotation marks, and oh, look at that, I forgot the greater than sign at the end of that start tag. Caught that before we saw the mistake. And then the end tag. So we'll save that, and notice we've set the href attribute, but we have not set a class attribute. Can you guess what will happen now when we reload? So there's the word vultures. We're going to reload. And now because it is a link, and CSS says style links with the color red, that's in red. And because it doesn't have a class attribute set, neither of these two statements apply to it. We could also go in there and add a class attribute that is not odd or even. I'm just going to set it to the class of neither. Class equals neither. I'll save that change. Can you guess what will happen here? Absolutely nothing, because we haven't set a statement in our CSS document to handle the special class of neither. Okay, so let's get rid of that link. Our users are probably smart enough to figure that out. Okay, I've saved that change. Okay, so one more thing about classes. They don't actually have to be limited to a particular kind of element. I can actually modify these CSS statements like this. I can get rid of the A and just have .odd and .even. I'll save that change first. And you'll see that it works just the same. It still works just fine. But when I write the statement this way, it applies to any element to which we add the class attribute of either even or odd. So let's try that by adding that attribute to some paragraphs within our page. So we'll come up here to this P element, and we'll say, since it's the first paragraph, we'll say that that's odd. And since this is the second paragraph, we'll say that that has the attribute of class even. Save those changes. So watch these two paragraphs here. And there you go. It's applied the blue and the purple And this would not have been the case if we'd gone in and left, if we really did just want it to apply to the A tag, save that change, reload, and you see now it no longer applies. So there's not a right or wrong to whether you include that tag at the beginning or not. It's a question of what you actually want to do in your styling. You need to know which of those behaviors you actually want. So you could add these class attributes to any element that accepts color styling if we have it like that, and it would apply the color we've assigned to that class. Or we could decide this really is only about A tags and leave it like that as well. Okay, so those are element classes. I'm going to get rid of these. In fact, I don't really like the look of that alternating color. It looks kind of messy. So I'm going to get rid of these attributes. Save those changes. We'll get rid of these statements for now. Get us back to where we were. Great. Okay, so those are element classes. In the next lecture, we'll look at one more way to select in CSS, the most specific one of all. I'll see you there.